Unscripted.
You know, it's funny because at times Microsoft can be brilliant and they can do things that make you go, oh man, that's the Microsoft I'm talking about. They really went all out and did something fantastic, and I can't wait to, play that game or get that console. But then there's this generation's Microsoft, from the Xbox One and even headed into next generation, that really blunder and make you scratch your head and go, what are they thinking? And then you see Sony. Sony's not perfect. I'm the first to admit that. They mess up too, but it doesn't have that big kind of effect that, oh man, that's so Sony. You don't really expect that type of stuff. Their blunders are more kind of undercover blunders where you might not even notice them, but they're there. No company's perfect, obviously. But today, we just got the news that really just leaves you scratching your head at Microsoft and really realizing how inept and how utterly kind of weird they are with how they do things. And then on the other side of the coin, you just kind of have to appreciate what Sony actually does and how they manage to accomplish what they do and how they manage to beat Microsoft time and time and time again. So this should be a pretty fun video. What's up, everybody? Crapgamer here with Crapgamer Reviews, back with another video, of course. Thank you so much for checking it out. I really do appreciate it. Please like, share, subscribe. I would appreciate that as well. It helps out the channel and it means a lot to me personally. If you're looking for a way to help out a small channel such as my own, the best way to do that is a simple like. I implore you guys to please just like the video. It costs you nothing, and I put a lot of time into these videos, so thank you very much. You can also consider subscribing if you haven't already done so, and hit the bell. So shout out to all the old subscribers, new subscribers, everybody in between. You are amazing people. Hopefully you're doing great. So with that being said, we've got some interesting things to talk about today. So remember back to Sony when they originally showcased the PlayStation 5, and they wanted to do things completely different than how Microsoft had done with their showcase earlier in that month. Remember, Microsoft promised to show Xbox Series X gameplay. They ended up not showing any Xbox Series X gameplay. It was like some PC. It wasn't hardly any gameplay to begin with, but it was PC gameplay. And so people were rightly upset. You had Aaron Greenberg, looking like he was on a potato cam. It was just really low budget, and this is like $1 trillion company doing this stuff. So with that being said, a couple weeks later, Sony did their big showcase, and it was a great digital event where they showed off Ratchet and Clank and Gran Turismo 7 and Horizon Forbidden West, and they showed off a good mix of games, some not so great looking indies in the middle and stuff, but overall a resounding success compared to what Microsoft did. So when the first gameplay footage of the PlayStation 5 was shown, that was our first impression. We all kind of just go, wow, that looks incredible. Since that point, we've seen multiple other third-party stuff shown. We saw Call of Duty, the latest Call of Duty, get shown. We've seen a lot of other games get shown as well. And the interesting thing about that is they look great on the PlayStation 5. And you know what? I'll be the first to admit they will probably look great on the Xbox Series X as well. Probably pretty much the same. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say that it's going to look that much better on there. But I just wanted to kind of point that out that, Sony was very smart in how they do that. First impressions are oftentimes everything, and the fact of the matter is Sony gave a heck of a first impression when it came to the PlayStation 5. We've all seen it. They did another showcase where we saw the Miles Morales stuff. Yes, that game is going to be held back by the PS4, unfortunately, but the graphics department, it definitely wasn't held back, and they went all out, and it looked phenomenal, and so do all the other games that we saw running on the PlayStation 5. Now, fast forward, we are exactly less than a month away from the Xbox Series X launch, and we've seen no gameplay footage as of that day. Now we actually have, and Digital Foundry broke it down, and this was some very interesting stuff. So they showed off Dirt 5, which is a game that obviously, they were going to showcase with Xbox. Xbox was the one that announced this. It was supposed to be a big deal because it was a game that was really going to showcase the 120 frames and stuff like that. So again, this is something that's a little bit interesting. So Digital Foundry went in on this, and there's different modes and things like that. So here's the meat and potatoes of it. Frame rate mode, dynamic 4K, 60 frames per second. Image quality mode, dynamic 4K, 60 frames per second plus improved visuals, but the 4K drops to 1800p. So Then you look at the performance mode, which is between 1080p and 1440p, which does 120 frames with noticeable dips in visuals, even though the game does have dynamic day and weather. So the performance mode and all that stuff about hyping up 4K 120 frames is just kind of nonsense. And I would assume, I understand that this is a multi-plat and it's going to look probably the same on PS5. I completely understand that. But our first image and our first thoughts of the PS5 are of Ratchet and Clank and those great looking games with the quick load times and stuff like that. Not a game that looks like an Xbox 360 game like Dirt 5. Okay, that's on Microsoft. That's the part that I think really goes to show that Microsoft sometimes just doesn't really know what they're doing when it comes to getting things across to people in terms of what their console could do. They hype up this big beast of a console, quote unquote, of course, and then they showcase this game. It's like a AA racing game, you know, and the performance mode, plus they hyped up 120 frames, and you're going to get like a 1080p game with that, you know. Maybe it can go, and some points drops below that. So again, it's not even anywhere near as good as what people were originally making it out to be, and the game looks quite bad, to be honest with you. And so first impressions are oftentimes everything, and now this is people's first impressions of actual gameplay footage running on Xbox Series X. And besides this one is the Halo Infinite impressions, where the gameplay looked pretty much absolutely terrible as well. So that's not a great first look for Microsoft, considering all that they put into this console, all the hype that they have surrounding this console, and it really makes the PlayStation 5 look that much better. Like, how is that really such a thing even anymore? I mean, you have a $1 trillion company that are dropping the ball and making mistakes like this over and over and over again. It's really unfortunate, because I think, again, that the Xbox Series X is a very capable machine. It's a very powerful machine, and it can probably play third parties very well. So why would they allow this to be people's first impression of it? I'll never know. I mean, at least show Assassin's Creed or Watch Dogs or Cyberpunk. You have marketing deals with all those different games, and yet this is the one you chose to show off. It really does showcase how smart Sony is by having big first party games ready to go and ready to showcase, where Microsoft doesn't. There's literally nothing for Microsoft to show off, in terms of being able to really wow people. And now all these impressions from all these major outlets are coming in, and it looks really, really bad. Even IGN, you have Tom Warren from The Verge, all these people are saying, it's a fun game, but it's not a next-gen type look. And that's the thing that I've been saying all along. Why has Microsoft failed to showcase any reason to say, hey, get our next console, it's really next gen? And they're touting all this power and stuff like that, and once again they're showcasing a game that's cross-gen, so I get that, and this game just looks really, really underwhelming. It looks so underwhelming, and that's really on Microsoft by allowing that to be the first thing kind of showcased on their console. As things stand, according to Digital Foundry, 120 Hz mode inevitably pulls back settings to free up GPU headroom for extra temporal resolution, doubling the frame rate from 60, demanding one frame every 8.3 milliseconds rather than 16.7 milliseconds. All the core physics and game logic translate intact from the regular options. So this is a really interesting take, and this isn't even the only take that was out there, because there were a lot of other ones that were pretty bad as well, in terms of what they were able to showcase. And I just want to say that it's not a super look for what they were trying to do and what they were trying to accomplish. I just really wish that they would have done a better job at getting stuff out there, because this was an interesting take as well. The visual quality continues to dwindle when you take things all the way to 120 frames per second mode, at which point major visual features disappear. The worst is an aggressive level of detail, LOD downgrade, for any elements near and above the racetrack. Mountains start to look less like mountains and more like college-grade assets purchased directly from the Unity developer tree or store. Tree-lined hillsides lose some trees. Cars lose polygonal detail and flourishes like grills, and the crowds of cheering fans sitting or standing by the road all disappear. Even though the game's audio doesn't reflect this reality, it kind of even mentions that the fans look worse than like the cardboard cutout fans at sporting events right now. Additionally, pop-in issues become much more apparent for both textures and shadows. Ambient occlusion is axed across the board. Those distant trees look weirder without a coat of accurate shadows, while ground textures look decidedly flat in this mode. Plus, its dynamic resolution appears to max out near the 1080p mark, dropping further during busy scenes. So it can drop below 1080p, and it can also, you know, obviously shoot up to 1440p, but you're gonna have to pay for those frame rates, and that's a little bit, you know, we kind of knew that, but obviously you wonder why like Halo Infinite looks so bad and why Dirt 5 looks so bad. Now we kind of get the idea why it does that. I don't understand why this was their first decision to showcase Xbox Series X footage. It blows my mind, and then once again makes Sony look like kings of the console war. You know, it really does, because Sony knows what they're doing. They very wisely pick great things to showcase and really just kind of stuck it to Microsoft without even having to do anything. So this is big news for PlayStation 5. Makes them look great. Makes the Xbox Series X look very suspect. But I would love your all's thoughts and opinions down below on Twitter, on Xbox Live, on PSN, somewhere. Let me know how you feel about all this. What did you think of the footage? Sound off. Thanks for watching. Please take care of yourselves. Stay safe, happy, and healthy. Rack 'em up. Game on, my friends. Game on. Crapgamer out.
Unscripted.